It'll be that robot lady asking if it's all good.
Nice, nice, nice. Sorry,
Cool.
my computer's doing something weird now. Okay, we're good.
Cool. Great. So I want to first start off this chat. First off, welcome to Far Beyond Metal. You're somebody I've wanted to have on for a long time.
Thanks.
Um, I first introduced to your music through Devin, so it's all kind of coming together in a weird way. And I want to start by first kind of apologizing, but also happy birthday. I saw your post today.
Oh,
I don't know if part of your goal is to do press on your birthday, but
it's not, but why not?
anyway,
Today's as good a day as anyways. Thank you. That's
of
really
course.
sweet. Thank you.
Your Instagram post said you're not usually a birthday person, but you were feeling it this year. Why?
Yeah.
Why? Because of the album, or is it just because of life's good right now?
I think it's all of it, but yeah, mostly the album. I'm feeling very like I don't know, motivated and happy and optimistic. And January is generally I don't. Where are you? Are you in LA right now?
No, I'm in the greater Sacramento area in a town called Davis. So
Okay.
north.
Okay.
Well, between. Anyway, yes.
Yeah, but still like less rainy and cold and awful than here, I'm assuming.
Not lately, no. We've gotten
No,
those sweet
right.
bomb cyclones and stuff that just kind of
Right.
wrapped up. So we're good now, but it's not supposed to flood here, but it was.
Yeah, that's fucking crazy. Okay, well, normal years.
Yes,
It's
of
really
course.
depressing in January in Vancouver, so I just like forget about my birthday until the summer. But it's kind of I don't know, I just feel good.
And the album we mentioned, The Crowned, came out last Friday. It's fantastic. I really do love it so much. Um, and I guess my first question is kind of a cheesy question. Who are the titular crowned?
Who are the crowned? I think we should all be the crowned. That's I think that's the point. I think there have been many, or actually a few crowned, and I think we should all just take our own and just stand together. So the crowned is sort of celebrating people in general, just being equal happy souls.
And I find it very rare when artists will put certain limits on sounds they're going to try to create on an album or a song or whatever. And this
Mhm.
album really sounds like you're trying to do everything. You're trying all sorts of sounds that you maybe didn't try in the past. And they all work really well and they're all like really cool and interesting together. What are some sort of like new techniques or sounds that you hadn't done before that you tried to do with the Crowned?
Um, I guess I've always stayed away from the electronic sound and keyboards and just it's a world of sounds that it seems overwhelming to dive into. And this time I had a lot of time. I had a lot of curiosity. I mean, COVID stopped the world for 2 years, so I just had fun and experimented. And meeting people like Diego Tejera and Olivier Martin, who are already in like deep into that world, it just kind of happened. Yeah, it was the perfect storm of just experimentation.
It's funny you mentioned Diego because when I ask this question, I kind of think about keyboard players specifically, because with a keyboard or a synthesizer, you kind of have every single sound you can imagine at your fingertips,
Yeah,
and there's
yeah.
sort of a paralysis of choice or something, um, where you can do just about anything. So, like when you set to do a certain song, did you find the sound started in your head in one way and just wound up in a completely new place when the song was over? And was part of you excited about that, or were you a little disappointed, or you get to try again or something?
Yeah. I think the point I think I never expect a song to go anywhere, so I'm never quite surprised, and wherever it lands, it lands. So, I'll start a song with like some weird like keyboard riff or like a guitar part, but that's just sort of that's the base to nowhere, like there's no direct destination. So yeah, so I'm never disappointed. I'm surprised often, and I love that. That's the fun of writing, I think. Um, yeah, I don't even know if I answered that question.
No, it's fine. It's something I always try to do when I'm writing is like I have a band in mind where I want to make a song sound like this sort of band, but my own version of it. And by the end, whatever my filter is makes it sound nothing like Band A, which is probably for the best.
That's a good thing. Yeah.
Yeah. I read that this album was about half produced by Bob Rock and the other half
Yeah.
produced by you. How were your production methods different, or how was the process with him different versus doing it yourself and all that?
Um, hmm. Well, we're very similar. We like to write separately and then bounce things back and forth. So both halves of the album did that with several different people, which was cool. But I think he likes to at the end after the demo stage, he likes to go into the studio and then just perfect it together. And I was very like, I'm not used to that because I recorded most of the vocals like in this very room. And yeah, so that was interesting. That was very interesting. And I might add a bit of that to my own process now because you definitely get better sounds. But yeah, he's used to like a more sort of like professional filled environment with like an engineer and like a runner and like all of these things. And that is so beyond me. Like just to have like seven people in the room was like, oh my God, like who are you folk? Like what are we doing? But it's the same. When it comes down to the songwriting, it's I think we're the same.
When you're in a room full of a bunch of people, do you find that you are more malleable with your opinion of a song, or you still kind of have your own vision that you want to stick to? Because when there's that many people, I almost feel like I'd want to go crowd pleaser, but I've never been in a studio with
Yeah.
Bob Rock or five other people kind of thing.
Yeah, yeah, that's a really good, yeah, that is exactly the point, actually. I have a really hard time. I don't have a really hard time sticking true to what I believe like a song should be, but there is a pressure there because there's so many people around with their own opinions. And at the end of the day, it's mine and Bob's song. So yeah, it is a bit, there is pressure, it's a bit stressful, but I find it's a really good exercise in just like standing up for yourself and being confident. And there's something to that.
Sure. And I don't know if you ever had a hesitation with Bob specifically, because if you ever butted heads on something, is there a voice in your head that would say, "Ah, this is the guy that produced the highest selling metal album of all time. Maybe it's an idea, but also this needs this melody."
Yeah, no, I think that no, I'm very stubborn
Great.
and we come from very different we come from very different musical sort of worlds. So while man, do I respect him, he's so talented and just he's exceeded every expectation. He's done so much in his career. While like all of that is true, I haven't really paid attention to anything in that world really. So if so in that way I think we kind of meet as equals, you know?
Mhm.
So it's easier to be like I want the chorus, like I want that. But it's always a discussion between us because it's a collaboration.
Sure. And I haven't found the physical album in my area to like, A-B the songs, look at the credits, because I'm one of those weirdo nerds that does that. So
Yeah.
when it's like produced by you on your own, produced with him, is that like all the songs are like, I guess, in balance of who produced what, or like is song X you, song X both of the you, etc.?
It's sort of it's song X Bob, song X Che, that, but it's not like half the record. They're all sort of going in and out of each other,
I
which
see.
is I find it's like, I mean, I don't know. Can you pick out which one, like who did which?
Let me see if I can pull up one of the song titles, because there is a song later in the album that it feels closer to your older material that's a little more sparse.
Yeah.
Might be, is it Try? I
Is
want to
it
say
the
Try. Yes, Tries would have been my guess for a You track.
you got it? It's a me
And
track.
and it's not just because it's like a little less I don't know, maybe I'm wrong about the songs that would feel bigger, more bombastic kind of thing, but it just does sound like a more traditional song from what I'm used to from you.
Sweet.
And
Yeah. No, it definitely is. I actually, it's on, what is it? The quarantine DP I did. So it's like a rougher demo of that song. And they're very, very different. It's cool. It's cool the progression of that song.
with the songs that are like more produced, I guess, for lack of a better word, or have a lot more instrumentation going on, do you still feel a connection to your first album being called Underachiever? Because these songs, being as big as they are, don't feel like underachievements. They don't feel like overachievements, of course. They feel like just,
Achievements.
yeah,
um, do I feel
you
ah
still feel like an underachiever in some way, I guess.
yeah, always. I think I always will. Um, I guess that's what pushes me to try, right?
Sure.
But underachiever, I feel like I was a little girl who was just like figuring out how to write songs and how to get them across and what I wanted to say. So maybe then I wasn't even an underachiever. I was just new, you know? I feel sometimes these days I feel more like an underachiever because I have so many more tools to use. And if I'm not using them, I'm like, what am I doing?
Some light imposter syndrome, it sounds like.
Always. Yeah. Why not? Add it on to the pile.
One thing that struck me about the process of this album, you mentioned in December via Instagram that you started writing some songs with Oliver Martin, who you met via Craigslist. What was this ad? Because I'm somebody who has tried to do band stuff via Craigslist for years and years and years, and
Yeah.
it never worked out. I'm in a band now with people I knew in high school who we
Yeah.
reconvened after 15 years. So, how did you do that?
I don't know. Honestly, I was having a rough night and I was bored and it was very, very late. And you know how you just peruse Craigslist with absolutely no hopes or expectations. And he mentioned like three bands that I really loved. And in Vancouver, nobody talks about these bands. And I was like, why not? Why not just meet this random person? This is going to be a disaster. But why not? And then it somehow it wasn't. And he's amazing. He's so talented and he hadn't been writing or like releasing anything. So it was kind of the perfect moment. I think it was his first Craigslist ad or something. And I've never reached out to anyone on Craigslist before. And I've never, well, I think I posted one back in the day, but yeah, I think it was just one of those meant to be moments, you know?
Mhm. Um, what were the bands that he highlighted? Not to put you on the spot for that, because you said that people don't talk about them.
Yeah,
What are
yeah,
they?
no. I think it was, it's so typical of me. It was Portishead and he mentioned trip hop and Massive Attack. And I was like, yes. And that's it.
Good
He
trio.
had me.
They're names that come up a lot on here through kind of atypical folks. Well, potentially. Like the Haken guys love Elbow and Portishead and all that.
Oh, Elbow. Oh, I just discovered Elbow and I'm obsessed.
They've come up like four times with this podcast, and I keep saying, "Yeah, I'll get to that," and I just don't. I forget. I feel bad. Where do
Oh
I
my God,
start? Where
get
did you
to
start?
it.
Where do you start?
Yeah.
So because the show is called Far Band Metal, there's a Strap Young Lad connection always. So I want to ask about your cover of Almost Again that you did for the Sad Songs for Quarantine Lovers EP.
Yeah.
I have a hard time imagining you covering stuff like Satan's Ice Cream Truck or Detox or Aftermath. And it's one of the less it's still an intense song, but it's not the like chaos exploding sort of strapping songs. How did you land on Almost Again?
How was it? Was it? Oh, right. So that was a part of the Indiegogo thing?
I believe so. I mean, that's
That
how I
is?
got it.
Yeah. So, right. So I asked everybody out there to recommend things, and there were a bunch of like almost agains, and I never heard it. And then Devin was like, you should probably just do almost again. And yeah, and the beautiful thing when you read you a song, I love to like listen to it like three times. You still don't really know it, and then give it a go because you end up with just you, like an actual you version of that song rather than trying to recreate something.
Your version is one of those things that I could see Dev like kind of doing his own take on, the way that like people will cover a cover and the first cover is like the real version sort of deal. Like I've been in a band that covered the Alien Ant Farm version of Smooth Criminal kind of deal.
Yeah.
I've seen Dev with an acoustic guitar. I could see him doing his your version of Almost Again, and that'd be super rad.
Yeah, that'd
Yeah.
be so I'd watch that. That'd be cool. I
Uh
was really proud of that one. That was the first it was the first song I like I produced fully myself and played like most of the instruments and put out there. It was that very much led to this album, I think.
oh, very cool.
Hmm.
Are you a big strapping fan or metal fan otherwise?
No, but I'm starting to be. I'm slowly getting into that world. I definitely appreciate it. And the stuff that I've heard when, like, for instance, when they were like, check out all these songs, I was like, wow, these are great. How have I never heard any of this before? But it's not the thing I gravitated to when I was younger. So I'm a newbie in this world.
Like the your collaboration with Devin has kind of turned a lot of people towards you, including myself. And when the collaboration started, did you ever imagine that you'd have your own page on Metal Archives? Because you do. You are a
Oh,
figure on there, and also,
no.
covering the Venga Boys.
Oh my God. No. Well, that was just the worst. That Devin, like that guy, I would do that for no one else. It's so funny. He asked me and I was like, yeah, totally, I'll do it. Yeah. And then I just never did. And he kept bugging me and I love him and it turned out great. But fuck the Vanga boys. But and also, is it Mets? Sorry, what did you say was Metal Archives?
Yeah, Metal Archives, aka Arc Encyclopedia Metallum, I think. Yeah,
Okay. And that's just an encyclopedia of everything metal. And
they have
that's
their own like picky sort of criteria for if somebody can get on there, but because you were on Key and you were on Casualties, you've got a page on there, and
that's super
it lists everything you've
cool.
done with him. And if you dabble with other metal bands, that'll probably be added as well by someone. It's kind of a Wikipedia-ish.
Oh wow. I don't even have my own Wikipedia, so I'm glad I have a version of Wikipedia
Is that
because I'm
true? I guess that
yeah,
is true. Usually,
yeah, not real.
yeah, I do remember your video when the Venga Boys cover dropped that you were cringing to your own voice on it. Was it really
Yeah,
that bad? Because I listen to that song like every other run I go on because it's so like your version of it 'cause it's so
yeah.
fun.
Oh, I like our version of it. It was just learning the real version of it, being like, I'm gonna have to listen to this a bunch of times. Um, but I like what Devin did. It's sad that they wouldn't let there was a whole thing, right? Like they wouldn't let him put it out. Wasn't that a thing? Do you remember that?
I do, and I didn't really jump on exactly what song it was because I don't recall him pointing out exactly what it was, but something with one of those songs that he did kind of quarantine was supposed to be a B-side on the new album Lightwork, and
Oh,
it just got held up or something. I forget if it was that one or if it was something with Aqua, which
it was the Aqua one,
oh
right?
yeah,
Yeah,
I
that's
didn't
pretty.
catch that one, I guess. Sorry to make the whole second half about him, but like I was supposed to see you guys on that Empath 2 tour in
Mhm.
March of 2020, and then everything got shut down mid-tour. How was all that for you getting, sent home on the road? And it seemed like it could be scary, weird.
It was really weird and scary. Things that are that extreme when they're not like, I don't know, when it's not so awful, you're not like, imminently in danger are kind of exciting. So there was like an element of adventure to it. I think because at that point we didn't know how bad it was going to get to. So it was super depressing having to cancel all those shows because I was having the time of my life. But it's kind of a weird magical moment as well. I remember we all got called down to the lobby and we were just watching the news and Trump was like closing the borders down and we were like, what the fuck? And then within like 5 minutes, the decision was made like, okay, everyone's going on separate planes and you're going home. And it was just super surreal. But yeah, it's bittersweet. I mean, it's bitter because I wish that had never happened, but the feeling of adventure was pretty neat.
Okay. And it's safe to assume after 3 years and three albums from him that Empath 2 isn't going to pick up again.
I doubt it.
Okay.
I don't know.
Um, One thing that I kind of want to like ask about that's dumb, but that
Nothing's dumb.
watch
Nothing's dumb.
watch this. Uh, you know the theory or the idea of Chekhov's gun when it comes to plays and alt theater and whatnot, where if there's a gun in one act, you have to use it in the second act. With that in mind, is there going to be a volume two from you at some point, whether that be an EP or an album? Because you have something called volume one, and then it
Oh
just
yeah.
feels like a unfinished thing. Because how can you have a one
Yeah.
without more?
That's it. It's not a dumb question. That's a very reasonable question. And I think it would be so me to just never have a volume two.
Okay,
I maybe, but I forgot I had a volume one. That's how bad it is. Not volume one, but just my mind.
sure.
So maybe. We'll go with maybe.
Then this question I like to ask everybody: what was your first band called, and what did it sound like? Or were you always a solo person?
Oh, I was always a solo person. Always.
So was your
I
first
always
band
wanted to.
Casualties?
Oh yeah.
Okay,
Yeah. I guess that's my yeah, my first band. Wow, it did well. That's great.
nice, well done. Mine didn't do so hot.
Yeah. I'm sure it was great. What was your first band?
It was called Silent So Loud after a Metallica song, and it was me and some friends. We played exactly one battle of the bands, and went terribly.
I mean, I feel like every first show goes terribly.
Oh
Ours
yeah,
ours was pretty bad, I think. Ramblin' Man. Yeah, it was terrible. So like
secret
there's
side
hope.
about how bad it was.
Yeah. There's only you can only go up at that point.
Do you think there'll be another Casualties album?
Yeah.
Sick.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, well, that makes me feel happy. So to wrap this all up and get you back to whatever birthday stuff you've got going on, at the end of 2022, you posted about releasing music videos, getting signed to a label, holding a spider. In 2023, what sort of animals are you hoping to hold this year, and what other goals do you have?
Love this question. Um, I would really like to like cuddle a horse, you know? I don't want to ride a horse. It seems presumptuous. Like you can't ask it. It seems weird. Like I'm gonna get on top of you and just make you go places. So I'd like to just hang out with a horse and then maybe hold another spider. It just, yeah. This is gonna sound crazy,
Oh
but
yeah.
because it was so furry and it was so fucking big, it just felt like it felt like a bunny. It just felt like an animal, you know? Like it didn't make any sense that it would be in the insect world. So I'd like to hold another one of those.
I would like to say cuddling a horse seems very doable. Maybe easier than
Yeah.
a big spider. So
Thank
I have faith in you this year.
you. I me too.
Alrighty, well, like I've already said, I love The Crown. I think it's an incredible album. I'm gonna keep trying to find a big vinyl of it around here, or I might just figure it out online. If you ever come stateside, I'd love to attend said show. I don't know if you have plans for that. Do you have plans for that? What are the big plans?
Big plans. There are lots of big plans. There are
Oh, yeah.
lots of touring plans for once, which I'm very excited about. So
Very
I
cool.
can't tell you when, but stay tuned.
Plans. All right. Well, thank you so much for talking to me today and the great music and everything.
Yeah.
And you have a good rest of your day. Of
You too. Thank you so much for this, and thank you for the birthday hat.
course.
It's
One
very
more of
cute.
these.
Uh,
I'm bummed it doesn't honk. I
does it not make a noise?
No, it doesn't. It just kind of makes the paper.
Hmm.
Well, that's a disappointment.
Can't have it all.
Thank you. You have a good one.
You too. Bye.
Bye.